Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna Feazell, and I'm your host of The Edge on IC Radio, your source for news and entertainment. You can also find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications and Abundance Television, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Don't forget the podcast, netnewsnetwork.net. Again, thank you so much for watching. I love gardening. So we're going to be talking to you just for a few minutes about using wood ash in the garden. Not only that, but you know, chickens actually like ash as well. Yeah, this is all kind of weird. So here we go. Let's take a look at that. Okay, so everybody in the country, almost everybody, we live on 38 acres of land. And so every once in a while we have a burn pile. And so I have learned, I was talking with Phil about that the other day. I said, I wonder if we could use ash somehow in the garden. And because I know back years and years ago, women used to make soap using ash, you know, from burn piles and from their fireplace and things like that. So I found a really interesting article, and I've actually found several articles, and we've talked about this on ruralsprout.com. That's ruralsprout.com. So, and this is a lot of folks who live out in the country, so heating wood is their primary source for heating, is burning wood. So when you find yourself cleaning out wood stoves, we used to have one when I was a kid growing up, and it would smell the entire house. We smelled my hair, everything smelled like this wood. But it was back in the 1970s, and so the cost of electricity went up. Gasoline went up. I mean, it's hard to find fuel and that kind of thing. So my parents had to figure out a way, you know, how can we heat the house? Well, it was one of these wood burning heaters. It wasn't a fireplace, but it was something kind of like that. And so I'm an avid reader, always going to the library in school and hanging out. And so I read back then where women back in the pioneer days would actually use wood ash for a lot of things. So again, this is a real good article right here. So we're going to see what we can do about it, and it's kind of a powdery gray byproduct. Now the resulting ashes and chunks of charcoal are packed with minerals. Plus, it's mildly abrasive texture, makes wood ash a workhorse around the home and the garden. We're going to talk about that. So let's talk about safety first. Okay, that's got to be number one. So it's important to know that this list assumes you're burning clean wood and not chemically treated wood, such as pressure treated or stained or painted wood. And also, if you wouldn't roast a hot dog over it, well, then you don't need to be using it. So embers that can stay hot for days. So make sure your wood ash is completely cool before using it around the home. Don't just get it out of the stove or whatever you're doing. And also wear gloves when you're working with wood, and it's especially someone like me. I've got to have asthma, so I wear a mask almost in everything, a single thing I do, and I smother in them. It was terrible when COVID hit. But be extremely careful when creating or using lye from wood ashes. It also could cause some severe burns. So wood ash, using it in the garden. Let's talk about that. So wood ash is enriched with many of the same minerals that it contained as a tree, like calcium, potassium, all these things we need for the garden, magnesium, and other trace minerals. That's just naming a few. So when it's left out in the rain, it'll quickly lose all of its beneficial water-soluble minerals. So don't use wood ash for plants that prefer acidic soil. So don't use it on potatoes, blueberries, hydrangea, azaleas. So make sure that you've got the correct acidic soil. Now, this is what you need to do. First of all, you need to have a soil test done, okay? And it's real easy to do at your county extension. Every county in the United States has an extension office. And in our area, at DeKalb County, Alabama, it costs $10 to get this thing done. So what you do is you collect soil samples, just a little bit, not a whole lot. They'll give you a kit. They'll just give that to you. Just run by the county extension office. And so put different areas wherever you're going to have a garden. And then it's a good idea also. So let's say I sent sample soils in. So I went where the blueberries were, and I got a sample of the soil, and then I wrote on a little note, this is from the blueberries area. And then my regular garden, I had that, and then wherever I had roses, I had that. Wherever I had whatever flowers, I went on ahead and sent samples into each one. I think you can do like 5 samples. In my county, you can. It could be different in yours. But anyway, I sent those samples off. So I already knew this. We have sandy soil. It's almost like quicksand when it rains out here. So I was told that it was not real acidic. I think it was like 4.3. So number 7 is going to be right smack dab in the middle. But anyway, you need to get a soil test done first. Okay, now wood ash is an excellent soil amendment for overly acidic soil. So according to the Cooperative Extension at the University of California, you can use those ashes to help balance the pH of acidic soil. So it's best to test, like we said, the pH of your soil first before applying, because too much is going to be too much. It'll be overkill. But generally speaking, the Cooperative Extension suggests for every 100 square feet, you'll apply 5 to 10 pounds of ash. Okay, so the best time to do this is before planting, when you can till it directly into the soil. You want to be able to do that. If you don't have a till, you can use a shovel to do that. So if you do apply your wood ash to your soil with young plants already growing, be sure to rinse them down afterward, as the ash can burn those little tender leaves. Okay, and you kind of see a picture right there. Here's somebody actually putting it out there on their soil. They're putting it in their garden. So again, make sure that you till it, at least use a shovel, and kind of work it down into the ground before you do anything else. Okay, so this is what we're doing. You just saw the picture. Boost your compost. Now to supercharge your compost heap, throw in some ash. Let's see if we've got that. There we go. Now this boosts the nutrient-dense environment that's cooking in your compost. Yeah, it actually cooks in there. So you'll see when you mix things like, let's say the green from mowing your lawn. Okay, you get that and you mix that in with all of your compost, it gets warm. And to give you an idea, you can get a plastic bag. Now, I wouldn't leave it in there a long time, but and make sure you do this outdoors. Don't put it in a barn or anything like that. I'm afraid it can cause heat. So what you can do when you mow your grass, just get a small trash bag and put some of the grass from mowing, put that into a bag. And then you're going to immediately, you're going to go ahead and close it up. Immediately, you're going to feel the heat. And it's doing its job. Okay, so when you combine green and browns, say like some old tree branches or something like that, when you combine those things, what you're going to see is it kind of cooks. And so that's what makes the Doyle. You're gonna have like the absolute best soil for growing your vegetables, your fruits. Your fruit trees are going to absolutely love it. Those things you're going to find. So you can supercharge your compost heap by throwing in some ash. This boosts the nutrient-dense environment that's cooking in your compost. Now those little chunks of porous charcoal mixed in with the ashes provide your compost with much needed oxygen, making it very happy microbes. Oh man, microbes are a good thing. Do a study on it. It's microbes. So go ahead and Google that. Now the porous nature of charcoal also means all these minerals from the ash are absorbed and kept into your compost instead of being leached out by the rain. And I'll tell you something else I like to do. Sometimes I'll go to a place and I'll see where they've got the charcoal on sale, like extremely cheap. If it's cheap enough, go ahead and buy that bag and throw that into your compost. Now you want to kind of mix it. Don't just throw it in one heap. So you'll need to just kind of mix it in with your compost. And I want to tell you, your compost is going to love you. Your garden's going to love you next year once it's ready. Okay, keep bears out of your compost. I haven't seen a bear in my area, but I'll have to tell you, in Fort Payne, the bears have actually been out. This is really weird. So Ashley from Practical Self-Alliance says that dusting your compost pile with wood ash keeps the bears from mistaking it for an all-you-can-eat buffet. And remember that wood ash is alkaline, so don't add too much. Experiment with a travel full at a time and consider testing with a pH kit. Now you can get pH kits at Lowe's. Is one of our sponsors. You can go to Lowe's, and you can also, Walmart's one of our sponsors. You can find those online. I don't know if they keep them in the stores, but go online, walmart.com, and see if you can do that. Okay, now another thing you want to do, let's see, keep up with what time it is. I can talk about gardening and just forget I'm on planet Earth. Stop snails and slugs in their slimy tracks. I've seen a few of those. Eek. Look at those. Now, snails and slugs, cute as they may be, I don't think they're so cute, but they can wreak havoc on a garden. There's nothing more disappointing than coming out one day to find your cabbages look like lace. They get on it. So stop the slimy little creeps in their track by making a circle of ash around the plants. Don't put it right in it that you think there may be some slugs or some snails in. So this is what the author of Rule Sprout says. I feel like a benevolent white witch casting a circle of protection spell around my precious oyster mushroom logs with the ashes provided by our wood stove in the shop. Thou shalt not touch my mushrooms. Okay, so let's talk about this one. You know how sometimes you're going to get, sometimes this happens to tomatoes. It's bust, blossom, end rot. You've seen that on your tomatoes. So seeing that first black spotch on the bottom of your gorgeous tomatoes is enough to bring you to tears, because you know it's just the beginning of more blossom end rot. Head it off at the start of the season by giving susceptible plants an extra dose of calcium. So when you're planting tomatoes, squash, cucumbers, and peppers, toss a small handful of wood ash into the hole before putting your plant inside that dirt. I'm going to try that this coming year with my concrete block garden. Also, Google this: how to deal with blossom end rot in tomatoes, zucchini, and other plants. That's going to help. So try this brilliant homemade tomato fertilizer recipe that gives you a little bit of ash. Before we go into a commercial break, let's figure this one out. So this is pretty cool. You know, you do little recipes all the time, so this is a good one right here. Let's find it. Let's see. Where is the recipe? I tell you what we'll do. Let's go into a commercial break, and we'll be right back in just a minute. I'll have that recipe ready for you.
You've been at this for 12 years. Why are you doing it? Because God's children are not for sale.
Rated PG-13.
The Hatter Cafe and Country Inn is nestled in the northeast corner of Alabama the Beautiful in the delightful town of Mentone. We're located on top of scenic Lookout Mountain near Little River and DeSoto State Park, and located only 5 minutes from shopping and restaurants. There is also a nearby community walking path and golf course. We welcome everyone through the doors, and we are committed to outstanding service for all guests. At the Hatter Cafe and Country Inn, we invite people from all walks of life to come and get away from it all, enjoy the open spaces, treetop views, fresh, clean air, and experience Southern hospitality at its finest. We look forward to hosting you. To reserve a special event, or if you would love a special getaway at the Country Inn, you can call us at 256-634-2018. The only place I buy my beef is Lone Tree Ranch in Collinsville, Alabama. Their cattle is born and raised on their ranch, grass and grain fed, and you can feel confident when you serve your family and friends because their beef is all natural and no antibiotics or hormones are added. You can buy whole beef or perhaps go in with family or friends and buy half. Their customer service is number one as they take care of the delivery to their local processor and can deliver to your home for a small added fee. They also offer herd replacement heifers. I always call Lone Tree Ranch in Collinsville, Alabama for my beef specialty recipes and cookouts, and you can too. Food shortages are increasing, so buy local by calling 256-523-6462. That's 256-523-6462.
Are you ready?
We all wonder what tomorrow will bring, but the future lays itself at the feet of the prepared and surrenders to the will of the persistent. It's not easy, but today shapes you so you can shape tomorrow. With Northeast Alabama Community College, when the future asks if you're ready, you can answer
yes.
Begin your future at Northeast Alabama Community College.
Wow, it's so soft and smooth.
It's cool to the touch. How did you do that?
Well, we took MyPillow's patented fill
and combine it with this new technology that we didn't have back then when I invented MyPillow to bring you the best pillow in history, MyPillow 2.0. Because of all of you, MyPillow 2.0 has been a huge success, and now we're bringing you our best-selling Go Anywhere MyPillows with the same temperature-regulating technology. Made with my patented adjustable fill and brand new cooling fabric, they're truly the next generation of MyPillow. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save over 60% on our MyPillow 2.0 4-pack special. You'll get 2 MyPillows and 2 Go Anywhere MyPillows, regular $259.92, now only $99.98. King size just $10 more. This is a limited time offer, so please order now.
At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant.
Okay, we're back. My name is Donna, and I am your host of The Edge on IC Radio. We're talking about root rot on tomatoes. Nothing can be worse than that, my goodness. And you're ready for a tomato sandwich, and you look at that on the back of your tomato. Okay, so here's a good recipe right here. And this is before you actually put the tomato plant into the ground. And think about this next year. I'm already planting next year's garden. So what you can do is get, if you get a lot of eggs, save the eggshells and break those down, okay, and crush them as much as you possibly can. Sometimes you can use like a dough roller or something like that and just roll it over them, and that'll help do it. Sometimes you can put it in a blender, and that will help, or maybe a food processor. And you can also use raw fish. So if you go fishing and you fillet the fish, save the head, okay, and that works really good. So what you want to do is get a few eggshells, okay, for the calcium, and 2 aspirins. You want to crush those up. That gives your tomatoes an immunity boost. Okay, then what you want to do is add 1/3 cup of organic bone meal. And bone meal is a nutrient. It's rich powder, and it's made from boiled animal bones that have been pulverized. It's a great soil additive to have on hand. So all you've got to do is mix that, dig your hole, and you dig your hole. Well, let me find that. There we go. Let's go back to that. Okay, so going ahead, dig the hole deep enough now for those roots, okay? And then you want to put that little compost thing that you just made with the eggshells. And again, you got to crush those eggshells up really good for it to work. It doesn't have to be a powder, but it would sure help if it were. And so mix those ingredients, put that down at the bottom of the hole. Kind of mix it with your fingers just a little bit, because you don't want to put the roots right on it. Okay, best not to. And then what you'll do is you're going ahead and put that tomato plant, bury it, give it a whole bunch of water. Your tomato, you're not going to have any root rot if you'll do that. Okay, now there's something else that you can do. And let me go ahead and go down to ruralsprout.com, by the way, and we're talking about wood ash. What in the world can you do? We just talked about the wood ash. Do you know that you can also use it on pond algae? Yeah. And that may be why we don't have it anymore. Sometimes you'll drive out and you're looking out in the country and you'll see this funky green stuff growing on ponds. So you can give your plants, maybe if you got some around the pond or around the water feature, the upper hand by feeding them potassium-rich wood ash. Yeah, but be careful. In turn, they're going to thrive, leaving the algae without the nutrients that it needed to survive. So buy 2 pond algae. Now, when it comes to using ashes in the pond, a little goes a very long way. So off the grid, News advises using roughly 1 tablespoon per 1,000 gallons of water. So again, you got a pond out there and it has that weird funky green algae on it. Just a little bit goes a long way. If you're not sure about the water volume, just proceed with caution. It's best to start with small batches and then put more if you need to, okay? And this is safe even if you do have fish in the pond. Okay, now let's talk about this one. I think I put that in there. Yeah, so that's what your pond is going to look like if you're not careful. Again, one tablespoon. I'd start with 1 tablespoon at a time. So go to one side of the pond, put a tablespoon, and see what that does, okay? And then maybe the next week, go ahead and put a second on the other end. So you want to start corner to corner. Go to the other end of your pond and see what that does for that algae out there. I think you'll be really glad that you did that. Okay, now save crops from frost damage. We all had the crop damage this year from frost, didn't we? Our peach trees were awesome last year. They were budding out, looked like we're going to have another great year, and then we had that late frost. Oop, there went my peach crop, so I didn't have that. Peaches are going to really go up in price about that anyway. So when the temperatures start to dip in the fall, nothing can strike fear in the heart of a gardener, especially with your peaches, quicker than the threat of a frost. And so the author says, I still recall my grandmother tucking in tomatoes on cold nights with old bed sheets. So don't worry, dust your plants with some powdery wood ash to prevent the frost damage. Dust it. Here's what I would do. We all have these little, it's kind of like a little colander. So put your wood ash in the colander, and then what you want to do is just kind of tip the corner of it, just kind of like that going around, and that's going to help your tomatoes with frost. I have to get on top of a tree and see if I can figure out how to do that as well. Okay, so let's talk about dusting bathing birds. I didn't know mine ever bathed, but anyway, here we go. Chickens dust bathe, okay, to control woods. It's called a dry bath. You know, how sometimes you'll do a dry shampoo. That's what animals do outside. Adding ashes to their dust bath it kills off critters like mites, fleas, and lice in much the same way that the diatomaceous earth works. So give your birds a spa treatment with a few drops of ash sprinkled around their bathing area. If they have a particular area they go into, do that. Cucumber water and fluffy bathrobes are optional. Okay, powder your pets. Now in the same vein, rubbing ashes onto your dog or cat's coat can kill fleas as well as deodorize their fur. Oh, this is such great information right here. I'm going to go out there and do that as soon as I get through the show today. I'm going to go out on a limb here and guess that it's easier to do with dogs than it is with cats. I think so. But give it a try. If you have especially docile cat or a good pair of leather gauntlets, good luck. And number 10, don't stop there. This trick works equally well for livestock. So you can dust your goats, your cows, your donkeys, your bunnies, and other hard-working members of your homestead with a little wood ash. That helps keep pests at bay for them as well. They'll be happier and they're going to be healthier. You know, you can deodorize your chicken coop. That's what I'm going to do just as soon as the show is over. As much as I love the personality of a coop filled with hens, be sure they're known they can make it smell a little bit around the house. So put a good thick layer of wood ash, complete with charcoal chunks, down in the chicken coop before adding whatever litter you use on top. That keeps your chicken coop fresh. This works especially well with the deep litter method. A Brita for your bunnies and birds. Let's talk about that. So dig out a chunk or two of wood charcoal. Keep up with what time it is, because you know how it is. When I'm with you, I forget I'm on Earth. Okay, so toss it in your rabbit water bottles or your poultry waterer to keep algae from growing in there as well. Just a little bit now, just a little dab's going to do you. Just a tiny, a pinch. You know, your grandmother used to say, just use a pinch of salt. Use a pinch. That's all you need. Did you know that you can boost your hen's laying power? They suggest using wood ash to supplement your flock's feed. So in turn, you're going to be rewarded with better lay rates and longer laying periods. So this is how you do it. Mix in the wood ash with your chicken feed at a 1% ratio. I'm talking 1%. I'm talking a tiny, tiny little pinch. Put that in the food. This can also help to reduce the smell of their, well, you know, that comes out. Let's talk about controlled litter box odor. You know, we have a cat, and so we buy a litter box food or litter box for him as well. And so if you'll look on the packaging of a lot of it, will say wood ash. So let's see what they say. You guessed it, an odor absorbing power of charcoal saves the day again. So wood ash was the original cat litter. after all, used by cat owners before the invention of the commercial clay litters. Sprinkle a cup of ashes with a few smaller bits of charcoal into a clean cat litter and mix it in. And it helps keep your home smelling cat-free, even if you have a bunch of cats. Let's just get the one. Okay, undo a skunk encounter. It's every dog's worst nightmare, and it always seems to happen at night when you're getting ready for bed, right? Especially when you're living out in the country. So what's in that yard? Are those Sparky? No, Sparky came back here too late. There was a skunk out there. So usually, whatever you wash your pet with doesn't completely rid the smell. So after you've bathed and dried your precious wildlife ambassador, Buddy's out there and he's playing around getting rid of skunks and stuff, rub them down with wood ash, and it also working into their fur. That should finish off whatever the soap didn't do. Now around the house, what can I do with wood ash around the house? Fireplace glass cleaner. Who would have thought that? So if you have glass doors on your fireplace or wood stove, they can become actually stained and blocks your view of those beautiful dancing flames. It's going to be they'll be here before we know it. I know we're right in the middle of summer, but before you know it, we're going to be putting the wood out, right? Dab a bit of the powdery ash on a damp sponge or cloth and use it to scrub that craziness away from the glass. Now wait for your wood stove or fireplace to cool down before cleaning the glass, of course. Okay, glass top stove cleaner. The same method can be used to clean your glass top stove. For stubborn cooked on gunk, make a paste using the ash and just a little bit of water. Be sure there aren't any charcoal pieces on your paste, so it could possibly scrub it and cause some issues. But be sure you're using only the fine powdery ash, okay? And you can make soap. Yeah, I'm going to try that. We're going to have a show on that. One thing seems obvious since we've been making soap since day one. So a word of caution, lye is caustic and it can cause burns, so be careful and wear the proper personal protective equipment. Keep your silver shiny. You can use it on polishing your silver. You can clean it on cleaning your silver jewelry. Before you do so, though, let me tell you what you can do. For necklaces, what you want to do is pinch the chain lightly on the ash-coated flannel piece of material. It's got to be really, really soft. Using a baby diaper would be awesome. And then all you have to do is just pull it through that chain. A few passes is going to make it beautiful, and it's going to be shiny. It's going to be very, very glimmery. You can freshen up your refrigerator and freezer. Yeah, just all you have to do is just put a box in there just like you do baking soda. Repel mice and other household pets. Yeah, living out in the country, we find that out. There's something about ashes that drives rats, mice, cockroaches, and other common household pests away. It's all natural, so all you have to do is get some of the wood ash and just sprinkle it different corners like of your house. It can be messy, okay? Put it in like a little lid or something. And then also around your garage, make sure you do that. So just parts of ash just around all over the place. So if you know someone who has actually burned a wood pile and they are a farmer and they live close to you and it is a burning zone, you can actually do that. In town you can't do this, okay? But you know a farmer and you say, let me help you clean that up, get his wood ash and use that for different areas of your home as well. I'm pretty sure they'll give it to you if you'll clean it up. Thank you again so much for watching. My name is Donna, and I am your host of The Edge on IC Radio, your source for news and entertainment. You can also find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications and Abundant Television, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. You can also find us on our podcast, netnewsnetwork.net. Again, thank you so much for watching.